Thanks for listening to BYU-Idaho Radio's Evening Headlines for Thursday, August 29th, 2024. I'm Brandon Isle. Attorneys for the man charged in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students in November 2022 began outlining the widespread media coverage of the case during a hearing today. Bryan Kohberger's defense team wants the trial set for 2025 moved from Moscow to Boise or another larger Idaho city because they say it's the only way he will get a fair trial. They had a media tracking expert testify that news coverage has been more saturated in Moscow than it has in the rest of the state. In court documents filed earlier this month, the defense team said the pressure to convict is so severe that some local residents are predicting lynch mobs or riots if Kohberger is found not guilty. The Surface Water Coalition announced today it has submitted a proposed groundwater management plan to the Idaho Department of Water Resources. The proposed plan comes just days before Governor Brad Little's September 1st deadline. The SWC says in a news release, the proposed plan was created with the goals of promoting a healthy eastern Snake Plain aquifer, increasing reach gains into the Snake River, protecting private property rights, upholding the Idaho Constitution, and guaranteeing an adequate water supply for future generations. The governor called for the plan after a call to curtail water in the spring led to a short-term resolution this summer. Meanwhile, 2 candidates for Bonneville County Commissioner are joining together tonight to present a forum about Idaho's watershed management. The candidates are Republican Carl Casperson and Democrat Jan Brown. According to a news release, the 2 are working together to present a pair of bipartisan educational forums. The first is tonight, and the second will be on September 18th, and that one will focus on the impacts of rapid growth in Bonneville County. Tonight's forum will include Jeff Raybould, the chairman of the Idaho Water Resource Board, James Cefalo, the regional manager of the Idaho Department of Water Resources Eastern Region, Idaho Falls Mayor Rebecca Casper, Dr. Rob Van Kirk, the Science and Technology Director for the Henry's Fork Foundation, and Dr. Christina Morissette, the Climate Adaptation Program Manager for the Henry's Fork Foundation. The forum starts at 7 at the Tingey Auditorium at University Place in Idaho Falls. A BYU-Idaho professor has written a new spooky book for kids.
And so one of the reasons I write for kids is because I'm trying to promote in them a habit of reading that can sustain them through the rest of their lives. And I write horror stories because that's what I've always been interested in, and I think that's really fun.
That's right. Author Josh Allen writes horror stories for kids. His target audience, middle school-aged kids who are 10, 11, 12 years old. He says up to that point, they've been fed a steady diet of happily ever afters, and he sees it as his mission to break that stereotype.
Maybe a healthier thing for them is not to continue to be fed a steady diet of happily ever afters, but to sometimes be told the truth. When a bad thing does happen to a kid in my stories, I often try to approach it with dark humor and a bit of irony, and it's still supposed to be fun, but it's starting to tell kids the truth about life a little bit more than the standard happily ever after story that they've been raised on again and again and again.
Allen's latest book is called Once They See You, 13 Stories to Shiver and Shock. I read this new book to some of my kids ages 8 to 17, and they loved it. Many of the stories build off of things we've all gone through or your middle school-aged kids are going through right now, like walking into class and realizing your classmates have grown and matured over the summer. The story is partially based on Allen's own experience in 6th grade.
I walked into middle school that first day and looked around, and I just remember everybody had changed in these really seemingly significant ways, and I was still just, me. And so that was very much the inspiration for that story, and I often think back to the insecurities that I had when I was in 6th grade, and I use those to inspire the stories that I write.
He realizes not all parents are on board having their kids read spooky stories like this, so he has a message.
I think it's really important to give kids freedom to explore the kind of stories that they are psychically drawn to. They know what they need, and we can trust the healthy, creative cravings of their own inner artists.
Once They See You, 13 Stories to Shiver and Shock is available now on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Goodbye Dodge Charger and hello Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Select Idaho State Police troopers will begin to drive the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, which boasts 500 horsepower and goes 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. The Idaho State Journal reports each of the 6 ISP districts across the state will get one of these cars, with another 3 going to the Boise area. With Dodge phasing out the Charger, ISP will also move to Ford Interceptors and Dodge Durangos in the near future. If you'd like a chance to possibly drive the Dark Horse, ISP is hiring right now and even offering a $2,000 bonus. For more information about that, just go online to isp.idaho.gov. These have been your evening headlines for Thursday, August 29th, 2024. I hope you made your day great. I'm Brandon Isle. You can catch more news and interviews on our podcast feed. Just follow BYU-Idaho Radio on your favorite podcast app, or ask Google, Alexa, or Siri to play BYU-Idaho Radio. You can also find us on your social media. Follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and YouTube. Be informed, be inspired. This is BYU-Idaho Radio.